Good afternoon. Once again, it's time for another episode of Metal Sanctuary. This is actually probably going to get posted a couple days after I do this. It is October the 21st, and today doing something a little bit different, going into one of which will probably be a series of tops. This one being a top 10, some might be 5, just depending on the relevance. Anyway, this one is a top 10 of um, cover songs by metal bands of non-metal songs. I had to uh, kind of narrow that down for my own sanity because when I first thought about it, I was like, well, I'll do cover songs by metal bands, and God knows how many metal songs are out there that have been covered by metal bands. So I thought I'd just narrow it down a little bit for my own sanity and not take 6 or 7 days to figure this one out. I jotted down about 16 and narrowed them down to the 10. So for this episode, I'll go ahead and give the other 6 as honorable mentions. In no particular order: Black Sabbath, Evil Women, off the self-titled album; Dark Angel's Immigrant Song, which is off of Leave Scars album; Destruction's cover of My Sharona on the Cracked Brain album; Megadeth's version of the Sex Pistols song Problems, which is on Hidden Treasures, and I think it's also on a soundtrack somewhere. Um, Nuclear Assault's cover of Ballroom Blitz, which is on the Out of Order album; and Overkill's cover of I'm Against It, which is on their Cover Kill album. So, those were the honorable mentions. Any one of them really could have made the top 10, but I think the top 10 list itself is going to be pretty good. Entering at number 10, a band that doesn't get a whole lot of credit for being as good as they actually were, really only noticed for the one thing they contributed to one of the bigger bands, Metallica, Jason Newsted's former band Flotsam and Jetsam, which he was only on their debut album, Doomsday for the Deceiver. This song comes off of their No Place for Disgrace album, which is their second record, and it's their cover of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John. A very fast paced version of this song. It's already kind of fast in the Elton John version, but just a very thrashy version, and the vocals just will blow you away on this version. Coming in at number 9, another band that kind of skips a lot of people's radars a lot is Metal Church, and this cover is their Toys in the Attic Aerosmith cover, which is on their Masterpiece album. I personally don't own a lot of Aerosmith covers by metal bands, so I thought I'd throw this one in there. I think it's kind of interesting when a heavier band, a little bit of a, not really a thrash band, because they had a few fast songs here and there on albums, but they weren't really a thrash band. They were just more of like an American, first wave of American metal band. Coming in at number 8, Armored Saint, off of their Raising Fear album, their cover of Lynyrd Skynyrd's Saturday Night Special, which I think is one of the better covers of any Lynyrd Skynyrd song. Actually, I own at least 2 other ones that I know of, but this one I think is really good just because of the band Armored Saint, and I think that John Bush does a really good job of delivering this in a very metal way. At number 7, Ministry. They had an album called Cover Up, which was full of nothing but covers, and their cover of Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World. And then this is a completely different style change in how this song really goes. The beginning of it has that same kind of slower tempo as the original, and then it goes into a much faster Ministry-esque version of it. I don't like a whole lot of industrial metal, but Ministry is one of my favorite industrial metal bands. They do a really good job of this cover. I could have picked quite a few covers that Ministry did, but this one's probably my favorite. Number 6, Anthrax, Got the Time. I think this is a Joe Black cover, if I'm not mistaken, which came on their Persistence of Time album. It's not a long song. It's like 2.5 minutes, something like that. And it just the bass line that that Frank Bello delivers in that album. It's just one of my favorite songs that Anthrax ever did, even though it's not one of their own. It's just one of theirs that, if I ever went to see Anthrax in concert, I would hope that they played this song. Number 5, one of my favorite bands, and another one of a good buddy of mine's favorite bands, Crowbar. Sludgier band, fast songs here and there. Off of their Equilibrium album, they did the cover of Dreamweaver. There's a couple other Crowbar covers I could have gone with, but I kind of wanted to go with the more obscure, you don't really expect a metal band to cover. I prefer it so much more than the original. Just a really kind of sludgy, slow take on it, and just one of the best metal covers, I think, period. On number 4, another one of my favorite bands that I could have picked a number of covers. They did Type O Negative from their World Coming Down album, the Day Tripper medley, where they did about, I think there's like 3 Beatles songs on there, and just Peter Steele's voice alone in this medley. He's got one of those really inviting voices, but not in the way you would typically think is a voice that would be inviting. It's just got that dark kind of eerie where you have to pay attention to it. Type O Negative is one of the bands that will put 8-minute, 9-minute songs of their own out, and they'll slow down Paranoid to be in a 7.5-minute long song. Who does that other than Type O Negative? But definitely the Day Tripper song off that album is a really good one. Number 3, my favorite Judas Priest cover they ever did, which a lot of people don't even realize it's a Judas Priest song. I mean, that it's not a Judas Priest song, it's a cover song from their Hellbent for Leather album, the song The Green Manalishi with the Two-Pronged Crown. This is actually originally a Fleetwood Mac song back when Peter Green was still in the band. It took a long time for me to be able to find an original to listen to this song. And the original song is really dark and gloomy, and Judas Priest, not really being known as a dark and gloomy band, took it in a totally different direction and just took it on as their own, and just kind of a more up tempo and everything, and just such a great song that they, to this day, they usually play live most of the time. Coming in at number 2 for me, Metallica's cover of the Diamond Head song Am I Evil, originally on the first pressings of the Kill 'Em All album. Eventually would be cut off, and you could find it on the Garage Days or the 1999 98 double disc of Garage Incorporated on the second disc. And this is a song that for a long time I thought was a Metallica song because it was on the first album, and then once I found out it was a Diamond Head song, like a lot of covers done by bands, they kind of, if you hadn't ever heard of the band before, it'll lead you into getting in to that band. New Wave of British Heavy Metal band, I believe it's off their Lightning to the Nations album. Number 1 for me, I think the best metal cover of a non-metal song is Exodus's cover of Lowrider from their Fabulous Disaster album. It sticks pretty much to about the same tempo as the original. There's a lot of lead breaks in it that really make it kind of stand out from a lot of other covers that get done. Exodus has quite a few covers of non-metal bands. They've notoriously covered AC/DC, stuff like that. But I just think that Lowrider being such a song that you wouldn't figure a heavier band like Exodus would cover, I think it just makes it a perfect cover song by a metal band. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 metal covers of non-metal songs, and the 6 honorable mentions I gave out. There's plenty others that are out there that could have been on my list, but those are my top 10. If you have some of your own, feel free to comment on that, and we'll see you next time.